So how are you now today?
Well, I'm okay. You know, Christmas tomorrow, totally prepared. Everything is wrapped.
Really?
Yes.
You're
I
done?
even have the stuff for the stockings in grocery bags ready to stuff on Christmas Eve.
Oh my gosh.
For the first time in my life, I'm ready to go.
I'm so exhausted and it's not even Christmas yet. Can we just get it over with? You know, I hate to be that way. I hate to be like Scrooge, but it's just hard. It's a lot.
Well, you have so many people to buy for. I mean, your Christmas list is like 10 miles long.
Right. And so it's just a busy time. I think most parents can address, can respond to that and deal with it, right?
Yeah.
And appreciate that. We had a fabulous Christmas party, don't you think?
We sure did. We had our company holiday party. We went out to dinner at Water Bar in San Francisco and treated the staff. It was like caviar and seafood towers.
It was insane. I've never been to a place so gigantic plates full of like fish and shrimp hanging over it and
it was
lobsters
really cool.
And everything. Oh my gosh.
And Ingrid serving me caviar on potato chip. Ingrid and I are both gluten-free, so she figured out we could take the chips from the pokey and eat the caviar on the chips.
Oh my gosh.
It was really
so funny.
It was so fun and such a good time with our staff. Great team building and funny
really
stories going around the office. You had to come in to hear those.
You know how it is with company parties, right? The stories the next day, like, what? You did what?
Hey, what happened there stays there.
Yeah, okay? Right. There may or may not have been a business partner here in this firm that was doing karaoke.
Hey, I said what happens there stays there.
I don't know. I'm not going to say that. Okay. Anyway, welcome to A Place of Possibility. We're glad to have you here with us on this special holiday edition. I'm Richard Del Monte.
And I'm Angela Wright. Today, we have your what to do before the end of the year, your financial checklist. These are mostly tax-related things that you need to be thinking about or looking at before 12/31 at 5 p.m.
Yep.
We just so we have something for everybody here, whether you're just starting to save in your first Roth IRA or you're facing like major tax challenges for the year. I think there's going to be something on this list for you. And it's a long list. So we're going to jump right into the list.
But first, we've got a little breaking news story. Yeah. The tax bill that we've all been anticipating for how long? For the whole year, even back since like April, is kaput thanks to Senator Joe Manchin, who is not the favorite person on Capitol Hill. Well, it depends on what party you're in. Right. But so no tax bill this year. All the laws are going to be the same. And at least in the beginning of next year, we've got the status quo.
Yes.
So that's important. And the second thing is about
student loans. Yep. Yeah. So that you do not have to make payments on student loans now. It's been pushed to May 1st, 2022. And we'll just see how far we can kick that can.
Yeah, let's keep kicking that can. And no accrued interest either. And it keeps counting for if you're on one of those, deferred payment plans, for relief or, what's it called? You don't have to pay you're exempt from paying it back, whatever. Yeah. That you're using up some of your time for that. Yeah. Okay. So the first one is.
Okay. So Roth conversions. So Roth conversion is when you take money that's in an IRA. Maybe you rolled it over from a 401k or you contributed to this IRA while you were working and you convert it into Roth money. Now, why would you want to do that?
Because it's from then on, it's tax-free. There's no tax on any distributions, and it goes to your kids, and it's tax-free for them, too.
Totally.
Maybe your grandkids. So, yeah, it's pretty cool.
Totally. So converting IRA assets that would otherwise be taxable when they come out after 59.5 into Roth is awesome. But when you do it, you have to pay the tax on the money that you convert. So there are some brackets here that like we can get up to, right? So if you're on Medicare, for example, you can earn up to $91,000 as a single filer or $182,000 as a joint filer. So if your income is below those levels and you're on Medicare and you have IRA assets and you can afford to pay the tax in April, you can convert that over into a Roth and never think about paying taxes on that money again. And you haven't done anything to your Medicare premiums for 2023.
Right. Those brackets that she's mentioning are because if you go above that, your Medicare premiums will go up.
Yeah.
Actually not till 2023, but they will go up at some point.
Yeah. So and if you're not on Medicare, but happen to have a really low income year this year, it might make sense to go ahead and do that. Like maybe you lost your job or something for pandemic related. Yep. Do that conversion and get that money into Roth.
Yep. We have lots of people doing that, just, paying the tax now at a low rate because they know their kids are going to be in a higher bracket when they die or whatever, or it's just because you don't want to let that low bracket go to waste.
Yeah.
Right? Pay tax on it at a lower rate.
Yeah. Well, and I think especially this year with all of these tax laws on the chopping block, it would be, if you've been thinking about doing something like this for the last few years, I would do it this year just in case they do change something that doesn't allow people in high incomes, or maybe takes this away altogether. We don't know. So,
and that was a proposal for the House, one of the House bills earlier, where they were, if you had make more than I think it was 400 and 450 for a couple, you couldn't do Roth conversions anymore.
Yeah.
After 2030. So, it makes sense to start thinking about aggressively taking advantage of those opportunities while we still have them.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Number 2.
The next one is doing backdoor Roth conversions, right? So this is basically where you make too much money and you can't really fund a Roth IRA directly, but you are not prohibited from funding a Roth IRA through what they call the back door. And so if your income is below or above 140,000 if you're single, or 208,000 for a joint for this year, you can't do a Roth IRA. So what you can do is you can put the $6,000 or $7,000, depending on your age. If you're over 50, it's $7,000 into a regular non-deductible IRA, and then the next day convert it into your Roth. Don't ask me why it's this way, why they have the law this way. You
because
can't do it
it's the
direct.
IRS. I mean,
whatever. But you can do a backdoor one. There's a problem though with the cream in the coffee, right?
Right. So if you have any other IRAs with balances, like rollover IRA from a 401k or something that you got a deduction for contributing to, the IRS is going to want to tax you on all that stuff if you try to make some conversions to a Roth.
Yeah. I mean, they're going to say, like, let's say you have 90% of your money is pre-tax and 10% is after tax. When you take an after-tax distribution, they're going to say, oh no, you're going to pay tax on 90% of it. So the workaround is to not have any money in an IRA. Now you might think, oh my gosh, how is that possible?
I've been rolling over my 401ks. Yeah.
Well, there's a couple ways you can do it. If you're an employee at a company, you can roll your IRA into your 401k at work. And that's a tax-free rollover. And then you don't have any IRA. You can also roll it, if you're self-employed, you can roll it into your own Keogh plan or your own solo 401k plan like that. And then what you want to do is end up having no IRA balance. That's the goal. And then you can do a backdoor Roth and have no problems this year. Yeah. We don't know. They're going after that. Biden's plan was to go after that and eliminate it. So it's now or never.
Yeah. And I think if this is something that you do, we have a lot of clients that do this every year at the end of the year. In 2022, I would do it in January.
Absolutely. Before the law changes.
Yeah.
What are they going to do? I mean, if the law may change, but they'll probably say after January 1st or not January 21st or whatever, you can't do it anymore. Yeah. So I would get those done. Roth conversions right now and another one next year early, like on January 3rd.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Really, really smart. Okay.
Number 3, you can do what's called supercharge your 401k contributions. And what we mean by that is max out the non-deductible portion of your 401k. So many people do not know that you can do this. So if you're an employee at a company or you're self-employed and you have a solo 401k, you can do this. Most plans allow for them, but I'll be honest, most HR people have no clue. They'll say, if you're under 50, 19.5 is the most you can do. What? Yeah. And they'll look at you like you're crazy. But if you go to your plan, like
documents,
if it's like at John Hancock and you call them, they will tell you that you can actually put more into your 401k. So you've got your employee contributions that you've maxed out, you've gotten your employer match, and then you can go up to 58,000 if you're under 60 and 61,000 if you're over.
Woo-hoo.
And those are non-deductible. And guess what you can do with those non-deductible portions that you put in? They can be converted to Roth IRAs.
Oh my gosh. Roth 401k.
Yes, thank you, Roth 401k.
Yeah. So that's a way to supercharge your Roth assets. And again, that's in the crosshairs of the Biden plan. So do it now, or, especially if you're self-employed, you think, well, there's only like 7 days left in the year. How am I going to get 58,000 into my 401k plan if I'm working? Well, if you're getting a bonus or something, you can ask them to defer it, right?
Yeah. So a lot of people do this at the end of the year. Call your HR right now. And if you don't need the cash from your end of year bonus or your final paycheck, tell them to put it all into the 401k plan. So many people do this.
Live off your savings.
Like I had a client the other day who was like, I don't really want to make that. It's too much work. Make the call. It's 5 minutes. And then they have to do all the hard work to, do all the entries.
To get that money into a Roth, you can get like 6 or 7, 8 years worth of Roth IRA contributions in 1 year through this method.
So get on that like right now.
It's probably going bye-bye. If they don't get it done now, they're going to get it done next year, and
that's going away.
It's now or never. Okay. This is the next one now. SALT. Okay, not salt and pepper, not spice. The SALT deduction.
It stands for state and local taxes.
Right.
SALT.
Right. So you know how if you itemize deductions, you used to be able to, well, you can write off up to $10,000 of your property taxes and state income taxes and DMV fees and things like that. Okay, used to be you could write it all off. Well, everybody got mad about that because they thought it unfairly taxed the blue states. And so a lot of the blue states, especially California and New York, I think did it as well, set up a provision where if you have a company that's called a, quote, pass-through entity, where the earnings from the company pass through to your personal tax return. So that would be like an S corp, a partnership, or an LLC.
A sole proprietor also.
Sole proprietor. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well, I don't know about sole proprietor. I got to check on that. I'm not sure.
All right.
But you can have the company pay the tax bill, and the company can write it off up to the whole amount. So if you owed $100,000 of state income tax, your company can pay it. The check gets written on LLC Inc. whatever, and then that can be written off against the LLC's earnings.
Yep.
No limit. Whereas in your personal tax return, $10,000 limit. I think you can see how much that can save you.
Yeah.
You got your money's worth just by watching this one little piece of this podcast. So,
yeah. And you have until January 15th to pay that tax. It doesn't have to be paid by the 31st, right?
But it will be, you can pay it any time. It'll be deductible in the year you pay it.
Got it.
But if you want it to be deductible this year, you have to pay it this year. One thing we were talking about off screen was if you don't have that opportunity, like for example, you don't have a company or anything, and you want to pay your state income tax, maybe wait until January 15th to pay them, because next year the Biden plan is looking like they're going to allow you to have up to $80,000 of SALT deduction, whereas this year is only 10. So defer it. There's no penalty to paying it by January 15th, and you might get the whole deduction. I mean, think about it. A deduction on 80,000 instead of 10, that's going to save you $25,000 in tax at least.
Yeah. That's
right.
Massive.
So it's a massive benefit. You got to think about that and talk to your tax preparer or your financial advisor. Oh, I forgot your financial advisor. They don't do that. Okay, sorry. Yeah, they just manage money. Okay, sorry for you. Okay.
I love it. Okay, next on the list.
Sorry, I shouldn't be that catty, but
it's true. Verify your RMDs. That's required minimum distributions from IRA, any retirement account, qualified retirement account. So if you have a 401k sitting out there, you got to deal with this. This is only for people who are 72 and older. You have to take it by 12/31. Your custodian can calculate this for you, or your financial advisor if you have one. You can delay this until April 15th. So if you turned 72 in 2021, you technically have until April 15th, 2022 to take your required minimum distribution.
Say that again 12 times.
Jeez. Okay. And a lot of financial advisors think they're like brilliant because they'll say, oh, you could delay this, Mr. Client. You don't have to pay the tax this year. Well, then that means that you have to take 2 RMDs next year. So you could potentially be doubling up on your taxes in the following year. So
making your Medicare premiums go up.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Generally take it. Yeah. If you turn 72 this year, take it unless you know that you're going to have really low income next year already. Yeah. Maybe you're planning on retiring next year or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Good one.
Yeah.
Good one.
Yeah. What's next?
Also, keep in mind about RMDs, you have to aggregate all like kind retirement accounts. So you can't just say, oh, I've got, $200,000 between my IRA and my 401k, so I'll just take the money out of my 401k or my IRA. Wrong. You would be under withholding or undertaking your RMD, because you got to take is whatever your IRA balances are, they have to come from IRAs. Whatever your 401k balances are, if you have an RMD, you have to take it out of 401k. Same for any other kinds of, profit sharing, whatever. So you got to keep that in mind.
Yeah. Good point.
And the penalty for not taking the RMD this year, which is required minimum distribution, is 50% of what you should have taken out, and that's per year. So you wait 2 years, it's 100% penalty. Yeah. The IRS doesn't mess. This is one of the ones they don't mess around with you on.
They want their tax money. They want their taxes.
And one place that people don't always think about is inherited IRAs.
Yes.
Right. Inherited accounts. You have to take out an RMD from those things after the decedent dies, and you inherit an IRA, and it's not the same plan that everybody else goes on, like with the ones on using the tables. Mm-hmm. You have a whole special kind of table that's based on your life expectancy only, and you got to get some help on that because it's very complicated. It's not complicated, but they have different rules.
Your custodian won't calculate it.
No, they won't.
Whereas if you're over 72 and taking from your own IRA, Schwab will tell you, or Fidelity will tell you, you got to take this. Well, not on an inherited. And especially if you're a non-spouse inheriting an IRA, you have all kinds of special rules that you need to follow. If you have one of those, call somebody in the next couple of days.
And something like if someone just recently died, maybe you have 10 years before you have to take it. So there's all kinds of complicated rules. But anyway.
Del Monte Group clients, we're on this for you. Don't worry about that.
Okay. All right. The next one is qualified charitable contributions. So you can take money out of your IRA, and you can even take your RMD and pay it to a charity, a qualified charity, which is, it may make sense. You don't get a deduction for that, but you also don't pay tax on the distribution from the IRA. Mm-hmm. So it's a way of just kind of saying, I don't want to have any tax, no harm, no foul on that. And it can just go directly to if you pay your church every year or whatever your philanthropic interests are. That's a good way to think about it, especially for older people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so also special charitable contributions for non-itemizers. So these are people who are you don't have enough deductions to itemize and you're using the standard deduction. You can still deduct some charitable contributions. Like if you paid cash to a charity, for example, it's $300 if you're single and $600 for joint filers. So send those payments off before the end of the year and you'll get that deduction from your taxes.
Yeah. Maxed out though at $600 per couple, right?
Yeah.
Not a big one, but
something. If you're doing it, if you're a lot of people who don't itemize forget that they can get this additional $600, so they're doing the charitables anyway, and they're not getting the deduction.
Yeah, it'll save you a couple $100 of tax. It's worth it.
Totally.
And you don't have to itemize. Okay. The next one is repaying coronavirus related retirement distribution. So remember back to way back.
Just seemed like a lifetime ago, 2020.
2020. And they allowed you to take money out of a retirement plan up to $100,000, either a loan or a withdrawal, and you weren't penalized on it if you're underage, under 59 and a half. Well, and they gave you 3 years, up to 3 years, to pay that distribution back if you wanted to. Mm-hmm. Most people it's off their radar. They haven't thought about it. They paid the tax. It's over, whatever. But let's say you came into a windfall. Let's say you got a big bonus at work. Somebody died and you inherited money. You could go back and pay that loan back. I mean, that loan or that distribution that you got back that you may have already paid. You probably already paid taxes on in 2020. Pay it back and either deduct it from your 2020 taxes, or you can deduct it from this year's tax, which is pretty cool, right? So if you could have taken out $100,000, put it back, it's $100,000 of taxable income you won't have this year.
Yeah.
That's pretty powerful. And you still have 2 more years to go. Yeah. So if you get a windfall in the next, couple of years for some reason, think about paying back. And that doesn't have to be like an emergency loan. Even if you just were retired and taking your regular RMDs or something, you can pay that back. Let's see, does that work for RMDs? I don't think RMD. No, because it's for people that are under 59 and a half. But you can pay it back. No, it's for anybody. You can pay back any withdrawal without a penalty.
We're going to put it in the show notes.
Okay. Yeah. But it's worth a lot of money potentially.
Totally. I mean, I'm thinking about a lot of people who were, completely laid off or, had no work in 2020 and now things are moving and shaking again for them. And this could be, and you're not paying the government back. You're putting money back into your own 401k plan. So you're just reinvesting in yourself. Right. And, the markets have taken a nice tumble towards the end of the year here. So
it's a good time to get in.
Good time. Why not?
Yeah. Or your IRA, whatever, 401k, whatever. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, next up is I-bonds. You've heard us talk about this a couple of times now, and if you're a client, you've ad nauseum.
We're getting a lot of calls on this, so listen up.
We sure are, yeah. So You can purchase $10,000 per person per year in I bonds. These are treasury bonds, and they're currently paying 7.12% through May of 2022. So you could effectively, like if you're married, you could purchase $20,000 today and then another $20K in January, and you're getting yourself this 7% interest rate on basically money that you maybe have sitting around in cash. Even non-cash, 7%. This is phenomenal.
Yeah.
So get these. And so to get them, you go to treasurydirect.gov. A lot of our clients have been calling, can you buy these for us? No, we can't, unfortunately. Treasurydirect.gov. And you just take your cash.
Yeah.
If you need us to send you some cash to buy them, we'll be happy to do so.
Yeah. These are the same as the old Series E bonds or Series Double E, but they're Series I. So they're basically savings bonds.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Good point.
Okay. You want to handle tax losses?
Why not? Yeah, I love tax losses.
We love them.
Let's do it. Yep. Some clients look at us sideways when I get excited when the markets are going down.
Wait a minute, you're happy because we lost money?
So harvesting tax losses is when you have a stock, let's say that's lost. You can sell the stock and lock in that loss and write it off on your taxes. And then what you do is turn around and buy something very similar to that. It works really well with mutual funds. You got 1 million S&P 500 mutual funds to choose from. Many of them are very similar. You sell one, lock in the loss, and then you buy another one, so you don't have to be out of the market for any period of time. Right. And this is before December 31st. It's in the calendar year that you have to make these sales.
Yep. And you can buy the same thing back if you like. It's a stock that you really like. You have to be out of it for 30 days to avoid the wash sale rules that they call them, which means you couldn't take the loss if you bought it back within 30 days. And that includes any kind of account. So you can't say, "Oh, I'll sell it in my taxable account and buy it back in my IRA." They got you.
Only.
If they catch you, you will not get that loss will get disallowed. So just keep it in mind. But it's a good thing to especially if you had capital gains this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. The next one is really you don't really hear people talking about this, but this is taxable gain harvesting. Mm-hmm. This might be a new one to you, but if you're a single person and your income is more than $40,400 or under $40,400, or if you're a married couple under $80,800, you can take capital gains and pay zero tax. I know it sounds, unbelievable, but this is $80,800 with the capital gain. So let's say your income was like $40,000, you're a married couple, and then it would make sense to sell $40,000 more worth of of capital gains just to book it.
Yeah.
And buy the same thing back again. I guess we'd have to do it. No, there's no wash sale rules on the law. Yeah. They want their money. Yeah. But so this is a way to raise the basis of your holdings without any tax costs.
It's amazing.
It's amazing, right? And so it's worth doing it, especially if you're in a lower bracket. It makes a lot of sense.
And like don't forget your kids' accounts, right? Your kids can realize up to $2,300 a year of long-term capital gains and not pay any tax. So you could be effectively doing this every year on your kids' accounts. Yeah. And then, when they're my age and earning income, they can sell this stuff at no tax.
Yep. These are dependent kids like under 18, right? So they avoid the kiddie tax.
Yeah.
You can hire, if you have a small business, and you're an LLC or an S Corp or a C Corp, you can hire your kids to work for you, and they can make up to $12,000 a year tax free.
They have to actually be doing a legitimate job.
Yeah, they can't just say, "I'm just going to write them a check," and they're going to, because they watch TV and I like the way they do that.
But when I was a kid, I scrubbed toilets at my parents' auto shop. Yeah. Legitimate job. I went there a couple days a week and cleaned.
Right. And if the kids work for somebody else, the first $12,000 that they earn is not taxed. It's the same thing, right? But if they do work for you, it also saves you. I mean, you're basically getting money off of your taxable income and getting it loaded onto your kids' income, and it's free. Yeah. And you don't have to pay employment taxes either. Social Security, FUTA, any of those kind of Medicare tax for the kids. All that is tax free because they're working for their parents. So it's a good way to get money off your income balance sheet and onto theirs.
It really motivates a lot of nepotism. Yeah. Now that I think about it.
I mean, it causes another whole set of problems that we can help you with, but
True. Working together in a family business is wonderful and amazing and can be really terrible.
Might get a little claustrophobic, but tax-wise, it's really good.
Oh, but speaking about kids too, if you're gifting to your kids for the holidays, like a lot of people do this at the end of the year or for Christmas or whatever. Yep. Consider gifting them appreciated securities like a stock or a mutual fund that has a large built-in capital gain. Because again, what we were just talking about, people in lower income brackets can sell stock and pay less tax, sometimes zero capital gains tax. So shift that tax burden to your children or to nobody if they're in a lower tax bracket. But even if you're, if you're in the 30 and your kids are in the 20, it makes more sense to shift that tax burden to them than sell the stock yourself and give them the cash. Furthermore, you can do all sorts of fun mentorship and stuff if you're giving them securities. That's right. Another podcast.
That's right. So what you ought to do, if you have an account at like Fidelity or Schwab or whatever, you should just open up custodial accounts or accounts for your children as well. And that way you can just journal shares of appreciated securities to those accounts easily with a letter of instruction to the custodian, and no tax. The kids can sell them typically with, like you said, lower tax or no tax. And it's way better than writing them a check for, if some people give their kids $15,000 a year routinely. Why give them cash when you could do something way smarter and save yourself the capital gains tax? Take the $15,000 you were going to give the kid, and buy the same stock back after you gave it away. But you'll have that security now with a brand new cost basis. Yep. These are kind of things you have to start wiring your brain to think about these things, because if you don't, they just go away. Right?
Or just keep listening to us. We got you covered.
That's right. Yeah. By the time you get done listening to these podcasts, you're going to be like a genius.
Okay. Next, FSA Money. So flexible spending accounts. Okay. This is money that usually comes off of your paycheck and that you use for medical expenses. And many accounts are use or lose. But there's a long list of stuff you can spend this money on. It's not just doctor's appointments and prescriptions. I'm going to read some of them off to you, but this list is like never ending. But just make sure you're not in an FSA limited plan. These are kind of...
Why do they have those?
Because why not? Yeah, of course we're going to take something great and make it terrible. But I've heard in some of my online mommy groups, I've heard people saying I'm limited in my my FSA and I have a list. If you don't have that, consider these things: acne treatments, air quality products, alternative medicine procedures, ancestry kits that come with health reports.
Wow.
First aid, antibacterial and thermometers, baby products, dental procedures, eye care, eyeglasses, prescription sunglasses if you've wanted a new pair.
What about a facelift?
Probably.
I think they're good.
I think if you could spend FSA on a facelift, yes.
I think so.
Because it does not have to be medically required procedures. Like I could go get all caps on my teeth and that would be covered. So I would guess facelift as well.
Hair transplant? I'm getting a little thin up here.
No, you're good. Don't do that. I'll put it in the show notes about facelifts. COVID tests and kits. We're all stocking up on those now. Acupuncture and chiropractors. And my favorite, therapy. I feel like we all need a little bit of that this year. So,
therapy. If that what they took
that off. Get a session on like in between Christmas and New Year's and get yourself set right.
Yeah. Get some of your family members to go with you too.
If only.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Okay. The next one is checking the interest on your mortgage. It's not really so much an end of the year thing because you're not going to get it done in 7 days, but it is something where we're running out of time for these super low interest rates right now at 3%, a sub 3% maybe, for 30-year fixed, and also low rates for buying rental properties and things like that. So this is last call.
Yes.
It's 1:50.
The bar is closing.
It's 1:50 a.m. and the bar is closing in 10 minutes. This is where you are with these things, because the rates are going to go up next year unless something Omicron, whatever, Omicron 3.0 or something is surprising, but the rates are going. The Fed has already been indicating they're going to be jacking up interest rates at least a few times. So and they're going to stop buying the mortgage bonds, mortgage-backed securities. So you're going to be seeing rates. I don't even know how high, but I would say at least 4% sometime next year. So now's the time.
If you somehow missed the boat, been living under a rock all year, check out your mortgage rates.
Or you're not sure. Even if you're like 3.5, you could get 3. It's going to save you 0.5% on a $500,000 mortgage. That's going to save you $2,500 a year for the rest of your life until the mortgage is paid off.
Makes sense.
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
So don't let that go by.
Yeah. Okay, completing open enrollment. So a lot of companies right now, this is your time for open enrollment on your medical, like any insurances that you have, as well as your retirement plans. And most of them end on the 31st. Some of them have already ended for some of our clients.
Medicare and stuff, yeah.
Medicare's done, but even like some company open enrollments have already ended. So if you are in open enrollment, shop that stuff out and see what it looks like. Make sure that you're withholding the right amounts. You talk to your tax advisor about get that right. Don't over withhold on purpose so that you get a large tax refund. I know this is so many people out there are like, I'm not going to listen to her. And they love getting that bonus every April or June or whatever. But please, you're giving a free loan to the government. Just instead, take that amount of money that you would get, take it out of your paycheck and put it in a savings account and earn the interest yourself. Yep. If you need help, like someone to crack a whip on you for that, I will be the one. Call me. But please stop doing this. Yeah. Anyway, open enrollment for retirement. Okay. Get that done.
And there's a couple more. There's one more thing, that it happens every year. We tell people is to make a decision right now whether if you have a small business to accelerate deductions if you think this is a higher income year than maybe next year. And also defer income. So don't bill your clients until January 1st. Yeah. And just be careful about that because you get to, pay some, whatever kind of expenses your firm might have. If you're trying to, reduce your tax bill this year, advance them, pay them this year and get that deduction this year. Those are some good ones.
Thank you.
Okay. All right.
That's our list.
That's our list.
Yeah. Thank you so much for listening. If there's something that you do every year, please put it in the comments for the show so we can cultivate like a really cool big list for people.
That would be good.
Yeah. And we'll put the checklists for this, we'll put online soon so you can see it and, go checking it off every year. Yep. What about questions?
Do we have any questions? We have one.
We have to we're like, if you're watching this on video, we have to squint.
There's a question about
really
unemployment
funny.
And whether unemployment is going to be, if some unemployment benefits will be tax-free again this year.
That was fun.
The CARES Act, they didn't tax you on up to $20,000 if you were married, $20,000 something. And no, unfortunately, all unemployment is going to be taxable this year. So far, who knows? They might change the law, but that's the way it is.
Will. Good question.
Yeah. Okay. So before we wrap, we got it for next time. We're going to be one of our themes next year is going to be getting your financial house in order. Yeah. We're super excited about that because a lot of people suffer and it's a brand new year. So it's a great time to start thinking about that.
Totally.
And we're going to be starting on that path. We're either going to be doing one on budgeting, right?
Yeah.
Starting with budgeting. But if we can we're going to get a financial therapist that we know and love. If we can book him for next week, next one on January 6th, we're going to.
No pressure, Andy.
And he is fabulous. And it's about, what's the topic?
So it'll be about talking to your partner about money. And the reason that we want to have a therapist involved is pretty obvious. But, things go sideways.
Why would you assume that I'm going to have a problem talking to my spouse about money?
Because we all do. And if
right.
you don't, you're lying. So
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Lots of fun things coming for the new year. Thank you so much for having been with us all year. This has been really fun for all of our listeners and watchers. Yep. I don't know if you can tell, we're having a blast.
Yeah, we appreciate all your comments too. We get people, really urging us on and saying they love them and they're really having a good time watching them. We're glad. We actually hate each other, but you can't tell, right? No, we actually get along really well. So a couple more things. If you would like to have an appointment with us, we are offering 30-minute free. No responsibility. No.
But we're scheduling out into January.
Oh yeah.
So click on the link and
do it.
we're getting busy, which is
no
wonderful.
Obligation.
But
you can go on our website
if you want it.
Yeah, on our website, and also we have our book offer, and that is. We wrote our book, Endless Inheritance. It's about how to make your family be successful over multiple generations. And so that's a free offer right now that we're offering. And there was another thing we usually do, don't we? What is it? Send us your questions. Yes. Send us your emails. We love to answer your questions.
Yeah, of course.
You can just drop us a line at info@placeofpossibility.com. Okay. It's been fun.
Call it.
It's been
Goodbye,
fun.
2021.
See you 2021. I'm not sure. Remember last year we thought 2021 was going to be fabulous.
Yeah,
we're walking away from the pandemic. Hopefully we had vaccines and everything.
Cautiously optimistic about 2020. Like, not really though.
I kind of am. I think Omicron is going to be more like, make some people get sick. people that are vaccinated won't even hardly notice, and I think we'll come out of it.
Oh, here's
Seems like in South Africa, it's already peaking and coming down.
That's great.
So
okay, good.
That's good. We'll see.
Wonderful.
Hopefully.
Well,
anyway,
wishing all of you a happy New Year.
Right.
Happy
New
holidays,
Year,
whatever
happy
you
holidays,
celebrate.
Merry Christmas, whatever you celebrate, and we look forward to seeing you next year.